Mr. Janik?
Here.
Ms. Janice Doyle? Mr. Kirking?
Here.
Mr. Lacine? Mr. Lucetti?
Here.
Mr. Costick?
Here.
Mrs. Stokes?
Thank you. We've got our student council presidents this evening. Who'd like to go first?
Good evening. My name is Emma Stigler, and I am the Student Council President at Lincoln Way West. As we head into spring break, our Student Council wants to spread the spirit by sponsoring 2 spirit weeks, one before break and one after break. As a part of these spirit weeks, our council will raise awareness for 2 important days. The first is World Down Syndrome Day on March 21st. On this day, West students will rock their socks, along with wearing blue and yellow, which are the colors that represent this day. On Tuesday, April 5th, we will wear blue in recognition of World Autism Awareness Day. Another great cause that we will be supporting is Gigi's Playhouse. This is an organization that is working to change the world's view on Down syndrome and send a global message of acceptance for all. Our council will be running a snack drive to benefit this organization later this semester. In other news around the school, spring is in the air for our athletic departments, with all our spring sports and activities getting underway. We would like to congratulate students in our Fine Arts program who had the opportunity to participate in the Illinois Music Educators Conference All-State in January this year. West had 6 students involved in this program. Next, our Warriors celebrated Random Acts of Kindness Day, where students had the opportunity to fill out bingo cards with their kind acts and submit them to our PPS department. Also, on February 24th, West had the opportunity to host and organize the SWSC newspaper conference, where students across the conference could listen virtually to different presenters from ESPN, WBEZ, and the Chicago Tribune. With all these exciting activities happening at our school, we were thrilled to host an open house for the class of 2026 to welcome the future Warriors to our school. The future looks bright for Lincoln Way West. Our theater lights will be shining for the upcoming program of Shrek the Musical, which will take place on April 8th, 9th, and 10th. And finally, upper class students are getting ready for our 2022 Prom and Social, which will take place at Tuscany Falls and Zachary Red Barn in May. Tickets for both events will go on sale soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Lincoln Way Central, I would like to share some of our recent and upcoming events, as well as accomplishments. To start, Central's winter sports have ended with a bang, as we have had 4 conference championships, 2 regional titles, 3 state qualifying teams, and 7 individuals qualifying for state. Central has had sophomore Gracie Garino place 2nd in the state, and senior Joey Melito placing 5th this year for wrestling, as well as Ryan Marslick placing 5th for bowling. These are just a few of many athletic accomplishments over the past several months. Leading into Valentine's Day, Central did a Spread the Love Week for our students. This week included a door decorating contest in which students voted for the best door decorated by classes, as well as a festive spirit week with the majority of our students participating with the themes. Our student council also sold chocolate roses for students to purchase in celebration of the holiday. To continue, our PPS had our Say Something presentation today during advisories to encourage and teach students to look for signs to help prevent violence, suicides, and threats, as well as to notify the appropriate people in response to these signs. The students are the eyes and ears of the school, and it is important to empower them with the tools they have for safety concerns. To continue, Central will have a spring formal after school on Friday, April 8th in our main gym. This will be a dance for students to come together and enjoy themselves. However, with spring also comes SAT prep and testing for our juniors. The Lincoln Way Central staff has been providing optional practice before and after school for our juniors to partake in, along with practice tests and activities with our Khan Academy. Our juniors will be testing April 13th. Lastly, Central Student Council has a special tradition called Teachers of the Night for seniors and juniors to show their appreciation for a particular teacher. This involves students selecting a teacher that has helped them in special ways and has formed a relationship with them. Teachers will be getting an anonymous invitation in which they arrive at Central and are surprised by the student who chose them. Each student will take turns reading their essay or reasoning for why they chose this particular teacher and what they've done for them, as we all enjoy catering from Gatto's. As the end of the year comes to a close, Central has many exciting activities coming up, as well as an amazing spring sports season ahead. Thank you all for your time and have a great night.
Thank you. We got Lincoln Way East up last.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peyton Lamphere, and I will be presenting on behalf of Lincoln Way East as Student Council President. Recently at East, our students have been hard at work inside and out of the classroom. The week of February 14th through the 20th was Be Kind Week at Lincoln Way East. In coordination with Valentine's Day, students had the opportunity to send a heartgram containing a kind message and a heartsucker to a classmate or friend in the building. These heartgrams were delivered to students during advisories on February 14th. These heartgrams brought a lot of smiles to students throughout the building, and all profits made will be going to NAMI, a mental health awareness group based in Will Grundy County. On Saturday, March 5th, Lincoln Way East hosted the Mr. and Miss Griffin Talent Show. In this show, 5 senior girls and 5 senior boys competed for the title of Mr. and Miss Griffin in the categories of talent and casual wear. There was also a talent show portion in which any students could participate. Senior Quentin Leake was named Mr. Griffin, Senior Layla Eames was named Miss Griffin, and Eddie Nicholson was the winner of the talent show. This show was a great success and an amazing time for students and everyone in attendance. This last Saturday, March 12th, Lincoln Way East Dance Marathon hosted an event for Lurie's Children's Hospital. Students involved had the chance to participate in a multitude of games, raffles, and even got to do some karaoke. We are so proud of the hard work and participation of these students put into this event, which ended up raising over $14,000 for Lurie Children's Hospital. There are many fun events occurring throughout this week at Lincoln Way East as well. To begin, this week is National Sleep Awareness Week. Earlier this week, students had the chance to take a short 10-question survey relating to sleep during their advisory periods. Filling out this survey entered them into a raffle to get to spend their advisories with a therapy dog in our Griffin's lair. Spending time with these furry friends was a great experience for students and staff, all while contributing to some sleep research. Throughout this week, Best Buddies is also hosting a fundraiser in conjunction with the March Madness bracket. There's bracket of teachers displayed in the lunchroom, and students and staff have the opportunity to donate money to the teacher that they believe would win each round. The more donations a teacher earns, the further they advance in the bracket. We have had a great turnout of staff and student participation and can't wait to find out who the winner will be. Lastly, with St. Patrick's Day being today, Thursday, March 17th, our student council hosted a fundraiser that allowed students to make someone else's day while also giving back to our community. Throughout lunch hours today, student council sold Lucky to Know You bags of chocolate coins that can be given to another student or staff member. All profits made will go towards St. Baldrick's Foundation. We are looking forward to promoting more kindness throughout our building and in our community as well. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Peyton. Moving on to public comment, we have one person signed up, Tessa Quinlan.
I will be talking very fast because I know I have limited time. So I'm just forewarning you guys. And this is just a fellow friend here for support. She's a fellow special needs parent of mine, of Central. Hello, my name is Tessa Quinlan. I'm a mom of 3. My oldest is a senior in your special needs program within the life skills class. I last spoke at a board meeting back in November of 21 on behalf of the Lincoln Way Sped Parent Group that was formed back in April of 21. My speech then was a speech of giving thanks, a note of thanks for the opportunity for being able to voice our concerns with Dr. Tingley and your Director of Special Services, Laura Erlenbar. Tonight I come with a similar note, but with a bit of an update of what's happened since then. Some very great positives have happened since then regarding our goal of thinking outside of the box when it comes to our children and their availability of inclusion at Lincoln Way. I've shared with some of the board members our Google slideshow presentation that we've presented back in April of 21 to Dr. Tingley and Laura. Some of the positives have been a system within the Best Buddies program at Lincoln Way Schools to better track the accountability of the students who sign up to be buddies for our special needs children within that club. What I think you may know is that all schools have a Best Buddies program that involves the gen ed students being matched up with special education students to form a bond and to have a quality friendship even outside of the school walls. What I think you don't realize is prior to this group bringing up the concerns of the accountability of the gen ed students is that it's failed the special education students in many cases. For example, a buddy would set up a meetup with a student or parent of that student and would be a no-show, cancel, or forget. This is not acceptable in our eyes. It does not live up to what is expected from our gen ed students, and now the parents of that student who have to deal with and handle any sort of anxiety or meltdowns that may occur because our kids look forward to these meetups. That's what we keep behind closed doors and do not let on with the aftermath of such disappointment. Well, we can say that a monthly check-in system survey has been set up and sent out by the prospective school bus buddies coordinators and sent to the parents as a way to check in with us and make sure the gen ed students are living up to their end of the bargain. Lincoln Way Central has rocked it with monthly check-ins by the coordinator. West and East have not been consistent with their monthly check-ins, but we're told that it's been discussed with those coordinators. I can also say that Lincoln Way Central Best Buddies Club has organized more optional events for our gen ed students to attend with their buddy. We not only want this program to be fun and enjoyable for the special needs children, but also fun and easy to find ways for the gen ed students to bond and connect with their buddy and be given ideas as to how to make it happen. The idea behind the optional events is to provide the gen ed students ideas of an organized event to meet up with their buddy and to provide them an opportunity to be successful in meeting their expectations while creating such bonds. Another positive is the setup and implementation of a Special Olympics bowling team. It was far overdue for our Lincoln Way district and should have been started many, many years ago. I thank the Lincoln Way SPED group of parents for speaking up on requesting this to be handled. Because in my son's 4 years of being a SPED student, it was never brought up, mentioned, discussed to allow our SPED students to be able to wear their school colors and represent their own high school like many other Lincoln Way sports do. But since this group was started back in April of '21, it was on a list of our concerns, and I'm happy to say that because of our parents and speaking up, and for Laura and staff to finally implement such a program that will come fall of 22-23 school year, but to also include the transition program students as well. Another positive is the communication of information from Lincoln Way to us special needs families. This increased form of communication has allowed more opportunities for our inclusion in other social and recreational clubs and organizations. My son, who I knew would enjoy being a part of the Lincoln Way pep band, was finally given the chance to be a pep band member. It took 4 years to make happen, but it happened. I thank my son's class teacher and his music teacher, Mr. Mrazek, in making it happen, along with the paraprofessionals who assisted him during those football and basketball games. I never left when I would bring him because, like my son, I enjoy watching sports and cheering on those who represent Central. I have addressed just 2 positive outcomes that have made a huge impact for us SPED families, and we only hope to have this dialogue continue for many years to come. We are open to having any of the board members attend, whether it be a participating member or a liaison, to educate themselves on what it is that the Special Services Department has been handled thus far. We only hope that more of what we present back in April of '21 will be open for future discussion. For example, allowing for additional training program designed to educate teachers, coaches on how to better handle and support those students who fall under the radar, who have been diagnosed with anxiety, ADHD, and/or learning disability, or all of the above, or the possibility of including a future language to be taught at Lincoln Way, such as ASL. ASL is American Sign Language. ASL is becoming more and more needed, as it is a tremendous need amongst our educators, teachers, admin, and even gen ed students in order to better communicate amongst those students who use ASL. Since November of '21, I have spoken to a total of 4 board members. When speaking with the board members, I've been met with receptive ears, and they've listened to my concerns, along with the affirmation that I needed to speak up in order for the Lincoln Way Board of Members to hear what I have to say. I believe that all persons who work for a school district from top to bottom, paid or volunteer, do it because they want the better for the students. So it's in everyone's interest to stay tuned in on topics what the school is responsible and held accountable for. I do feel Lincoln Way 210 is attempting to rectify and revamp any sort of programming or handling of our requested extras for our special education students, but it takes parents to speak up and remind them that we all want what's best for our children, students, so it's time to address, to be proactive rather than reactive. I just want to make sure that I say thank you to those who have made things possible regarding our special education students, and want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the regular meeting minutes of February 17th, 2022, approval of the closed meeting minutes of February 17th, 2022, approval to hold the closed session meeting summaries from June 1st of '21 through December 31st of '21, approval of the payrolls of February 18th and March 4th, 2022, personnel reports, approval of the District 210 advisory minutes, the Board of Education meeting schedule for the 22-23 school year, and out-of-state travel. Would anyone like anything pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to affirm and approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Since nobody wanted anything pulled, Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the invoices for February 18th through March 17th, 2022.
Motion to approve the invoices in the amount of $3,144,977.55 dated March 17th, 2022.
Thank you. Have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? If not, Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the treasurer's report for February of 2022.
Revenues for the month of February were $1.9 million, and expenses were $7.5 million. The total cash balance as of February 28th was $23.5 million, and now that is $2.4 million higher than at this point last year. This was a typical month in many ways, but I do want to highlight two noteworthy exceptions. First, our medical insurance claims, as I've mentioned the last couple of months, continue to trend high. Premiums did increase with the start of calendar year 22, and so that has impacted the general ledger benefits expenses to a degree. However, the more significant impact is claims expenses not yet recorded on our district's general ledger. They're in a liability right now as we work through the fiscal year. We can talk more about that if you have any questions. This occurs when claims exceed premiums. Now, in the bills payable that you just approved, you'll notice that for February 22, which is what that bill is from, it was $1.33 million, and that's roughly double what it is normally the predicted amount if claims equal premiums. So we are working with our broker and advisors at Stum Insurance to determine the cause. For example, is this, and we have seen some, and it's determining the degree to which there are catastrophic claims beyond normal trends, and whether or not we should anticipate high claims to continue. We've had 4 good years, and now we're seeing a year with higher claims. So we're sorting through that, and we'll have more of an update soon. Second, a new public act was approved by state legislature that provides for a tax levy adjustment based on revenues lost due to tax refunds. These could result from decisions in assessment-based rulings, such as certificates of error, PTAB, objections in court. So the purpose of this public act is meant to make the district whole for these kinds of losses. It does not impact our limiting rate. It does not impact our tax extension for future years. In other words, it's not compounding. It's like a one-time adjustment, and this adjustment for the year 2021 via Will County is $122,299.09. There is an agenda item listed after the treasurer's report. District administration recommends no action. However, the board does have the authority to waive, i.e. abate all or part of that amount if you so choose. So, in other words, if desired, a potential resolution follows the report. It would require action from you to abate and not accept those monies. If you wish to accept that make-whole adjustment, you simply make no motion when we come to that agenda item, and we continue moving through the agenda. Finally, looking ahead to next month, no property tax revenue or mandated categoricals are expected in March, and that is typical at this point. It's typical for expenses to outpace revenues. The estimated cash balance for all funds at the end of March is anticipated to be $17.7 million. Happy to take any questions if you have them.
question, I don't know if this is you or somebody else, but the impact of fuel prices, natural gas, between now and the end of this fiscal year, and then as we budget for next year?
Yeah, we're certainly seeing a big uptick in fuel, of course. We're doing perfectly fine on our fuel budget. Luckily, that budget was conservative. Remember, our fuel expenses over the last 2 fiscal years have been wildly off. It's not even apples to apples because we didn't run buses. And so right now, through the end of February, we're 65% of the way through our gasoline budget and 47% of the way through our diesel budget. Now, I will tell you, though, we spent $34,000 in gas last month, and the 4-month average preceding that was about $5,000 less. And we spent $85,000 in diesel, and the 4-month average before that is about $70,000. And so when you factor that in, it's not necessarily going to break the bank, but I think conservatively, if prices remain high, I would say somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 would be a conservative budget increase. But that's only if they stay at the levels they're at the entirety of next fiscal year. And again, this budget was conservative to begin with, so I think year over year will be okay. It's a good question. Natural gas, I think Rich can speak to a little bit. We are seeing significant increases in natural gas prices. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
If we compare to a normal year, we're 100% increase. An average year is about $400,000. So we could see an increase of around $400,000 if the gas remains high. We are. We are.
I think what was natural gas, I mean, what was the amount increase that we've actually spent, not just projecting out what it is currently? Like what's been the increase?
If we look at the contractual, utilities and contractual maintenance report, the increase is around $500,000 over last year, but last year we were closed for most of the year, so I'm comparing to a normal year.
Yeah.
Normal year, we spend about $400,000, so a 100% increase is $400,000.
So we're gonna spend $800,000 this year?
No, I don't believe we'll spend $800,000 this year.
So that's what I was trying to figure out, what's the what are we gonna spend over $400,000 for this year? Like if we were to,
So
project that.
year to date through fiscal year '22 on natural gas, we're at about $540,000. At this point in fiscal year '20, which is probably a fairer comparison, we had spent $258,000. I don't have the natural gas budget in front of me, sorry.
You were watching it, just to get it out there, that I had a feeling it was gonna get into the 6 figures, hoping there wouldn't be 2 commas, but
Yeah, no, and obviously both are very volatile right now. And as we head into budgeting for fiscal year '23, that only adds to the conservative approach that I want to take. And that's both in fuel costs, that's in natural gas. There's a lot of other supplies that have long lead times, things that we were even maybe hoping to pay for and get in June that we're now looking at July. So those are the things we have to factor in and will absolutely be considered with a conservative FY '23 budget. It's a good question.
For the insurance claims, you said there's several catastrophic claims and then additional claims that we wouldn't normally see? Or is it?
I meant that as one and the same. So if we're looking at our normal claims, and this is, what I don't want to do is overspeak or get ahead of myself in terms of working with Stum Insurance to get at the core. We have seen an uptick in our small claims, but is some of that people not going to the doctor for a period of time, and now that there's that catch-up, right? But we are also seeing, we kind of tease claims apart through, claims under 50,000, 50 to 100, claims over 100,000, and we've seen an uptick in those in the recent months, pretty notably. to where you would look at that and at least on the surface level say, hey, we've had 3 or 4 good years. This seems to be a year with very high claims. However, what we're also doing is taking a look at our stop loss, both individually and in the aggregate, and we're trying to make some projections with where we think the fiscal year might have to close, and if that's a deficit in the insurance fund, what will that look like? Obviously, we have some money in that insurance fund after moving it over from the affiliation. So that's the work that we're doing. Catastrophic, but also the small claims have just seen a little uptick.
I don't know if you want to talk about this now or when maybe now is a good time. The tax levy adjustment, how does that work in practice? Is it just that 122,000 added to the next assessment, or?
Yeah, so what they do is they determine the tax extension, like, separate from that, right? So they'll take last year's tax extension just like normal business. They'll apply the CPI, the new construction, boom, done. And then they will just tack on the 122 to be distributed, the 122,000 with the rest of the tax extension for this year. But the next tax extension, when you do CPI and new construction, is sans the 122. It's not, right. And so annually now with this Public Act, what they'll do is they'll take any, just because we're budgeting and trying to figure out, tax revenues are obviously our biggest piece, as you know. And so what it's supposed to do is provide that additional stability instead of us having refunds through the year or monies knocked off the distributions to us. So that's the intent of the Public Act, but it does not compound. Am I answering your question okay? Okay.
But it takes the successful tax appeals and then divvies their impact amongst the rest of the people who didn't appeal for that 1 year.
Yes.
So because you were successful and I didn't appeal, I get a small piece of that successful appeal on my bill, correct?
Mathematically, yes.
Wonderful bill. Thank you.
If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report for February 2022 as presented.
Second.
Motion the second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, based on the previous discussion, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the tax levy adjustment abatement as presented?
I'll move it,
I have a motion. Do we have a second? We have no second. The motion fails. Moving on, student activities for February 2022.
Okay, included in your packet materials is our student activity report for February. And as soon as it loads here, I know we're asking for a couple more items.
Muslim Student Association Special Olympics bowling.
Yes, it's going. Here, just a second. Here we go. We're asking to approve the following new activity accounts: the Muslim Student Association at Central, Special Olympics Bowling at Central, Special Olympics Bowling at East, and Special Olympics Bowling at West. There are no accounts this month with a negative balance. The principals have done a good job there. Just ask you to approve the report as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'm sorry.
Deidre made a motion, I'll second it, but I do have a question. For the Muslim Student Association here at Central, do we have one at East and West already, or would this be something?
I know we have one at East. I am not sure if we have one at West. I do not believe so. Correct? No.
Would it make sense to set one up, or do we need the students
Well, the
to
students, yeah,
have to?
yeah,
Okay.
we have a
They
procedure,
requested.
yeah, we have a procedure in place.
Yeah, okay.
With that, I have a motion and a second. If there's nothing further, Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, the second reading for student fees.
Yes, every year in March, we ask the board to approve fees for the upcoming school year. We have done some analysis this year, and I'll let Kelly and Mike answer most of the difficult questions. But we've put together some analysis, and one of the things, I guess there's two different proposals that we're asking the board to consider. The first would be to eliminate the class fees, specific class fees, and what we mean by that is, you know, foods, the grocery list, or certain, you know, we would say a welding class, because other classroom materials we provide, whether it be, you know, textbooks, workbooks, those types of things. So we would ask that we eliminate the class of fees, and that goes into the general registration pot. We have not increased our fee for a couple of years, and so the recommendation would be to increase the fee. Let's see, what did we put our actual? Yeah, $325 and then $315 for the early payment. We would ask the board to consider removing our $50 activity fee or participation fee. What we currently do is charge $50 whether a student is in chess or, you know, the Muslim club, pep band, whatever it might be. They're charged $50 the first time, and then that gets them as many activities as they want. The analysis is in here of potential revenue given this plan, and so we're open to answer any questions. Obviously, setting fees is a board responsibility, so if you don't follow the recommendation, there's no feelings hurt. It's just throughout our group and our discussions with activity directors, the principals, we kind of fell on the consensus of we think we should put it into the general fee and move forward. We will be putting the technology, the $30 to every grade next year, as everyone will be able to have a device. Mike, am I missing anything? Kelly, anything you'd like to add? Okay.
Is summer school, oh, sorry. I was looking at the analysis for proposed summer school fee. I don't think there's anything in there. I don't know if, or am I just reading it?
We wouldn't have any change to the current summer school fee. We did not increase the fee.
Okay.
It would continue forward. Sorry for any
Okay,
confusion there. It's
there was nothing there, so I didn't know if we were eliminating summer school fees.
no recommendation for change there.
Okay.
And so, just so I'm clear, so because it's blank for the athletic activity fee, that means that it's gonna stay $50, or you're removing the $50?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying, and sorry for the confusion on those two lines. Summer school would remain the same. The recommendation is to move the base fee to $325, and then to eliminate the individual course fees and to eliminate the athletic activity $50 fee.
And how are we capturing the money that I guess we're losing, from the $25 it does it?
What was the registration fee for this past year? I don't recall.
300.
300.
300.
300.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Everybody, so they're,
You're not collecting from the
People.
Or the $15 a class, as you can see in the list from the 21-22 fees.
okay. Because the $50, everyone doesn't pay it, it's just those that are
Correct.
involved, correct, got it,
Correct.
okay, it balances out, got it.
Is 325 in line with other?
Yes, as you can see, that's in line with the surrounding districts. Some charge for activities, some do not.
Nice.
And also, that would be based, you know, you see that our free and reduced lunch students are not charged that fee. Our percentage is lower than some of the districts in there that do charge a fee, but any student that would be free and reduced would not pay that fee for athletics.
we tried to include as much information. As you can see, districts are, the way that they present the information may look very different from one district to the next. But one of the things that we did want to highlight was the technology fee. We're not recommending any change, just to keep ours at 30, and obviously as the one-to-one expand that accordingly. You know, there might be another district with a lower base registration fee, but when you factor in the tech fee, that sum totals, you know, you got to look at it kind of in the aggregate. right? So that's why we tried to provide as much as we could.
So that was my question. Is there a reason why those two are bifurcated, why they're separate? The tech fee and the registration fee, since to Scott's point, it's across all grades now, or all years?
That's a really good point.
That's a fair point.
We could combine them. The reason we had, if you remember, we had combined years ago, Joe, and I think you were on the board when we did that. We went to one, and then when we put in the insurance, that was an additional fee this year just for the freshmen and sophomores.
That's a
So
fair
you're
point, though,
right,
because
we
now,
could-
now all kids would have it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's semantics, I get it.
Yeah.
but-
One less line.
That's how everyone's doing it. Probably just,
Take the,
want to have the one-time increase.
take the lead, Chris. Be a lead.
I was actually going to ask, and this is bringing up an old subject, but the driver's ed, and do we have everything followed, and like, do we need a fee waiver or anything like that? Or we're under that amount now?
We're good there, Chris. It
Okay.
won't happen again. We're good there.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So the 250 is.
No, that's a good question. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
What's our current early registration fee? What do
Current is
people pay?
$290 would be early.
Same thing, $10
Yeah,
discount.
$10.
So do we want to, well, being presumptuous, do you want to amend the motion to make it what would that be, $345 or $335? And eliminate the technology fee, or do we want to just leave it as?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lump them together.
Just expanding on your idea, Joe. All right. Any further discussion or thoughts on what the administration has proposed? With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the student registration fees, the student fees, period, rather, for the 22-23 school year as presented.
Second?
Motion is second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Second reading for food service lunch prices.
Again, this item was presented last month, and since that time, I would add food prices continue to increase, as you well know. We recommend leaving the breakfast meal price, just to recap, at $3, but raising the lunch meal price to $5 for next school year.
Does that include Pizza Puffs, or are they still on there? Sorry.
It's in the
It
second
can be, I'll
line.
talk to
Yeah.
Kristen.
Tater tots are getting expensive, my friends.
This is a serious question, though. Are the portion sizes still remaining the same?
Nothing changing operationally.
Okay.
No, Kristen does a great job with supplies and efficiency, we're good.
Aaron, with all that weight you've lost, I'm surprised you even care about that question. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve the food service prices for 22-23 as presented.
So moved.
A motion, do I have a second? Second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the informational items. First up, we have the report of the Lincoln Way Special Ed District 843 Governing Board meetings from February 22nd.
I have nothing to add.
Nothing to add? Nothing to add? Thank you. Moving on to FOIA requests.
There were two, and the information was provided in your backup materials, and all the requested information has been sent via email.
Thank you. Building and grounds.
Once again, if there are any questions, Rich will answer them. If you get any between now and the next meeting, feel free to reach out. He continues to provide detailed reports on a monthly basis.
The one quick question, the electricity, the red, that's estimates, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no, very, very detailed and thorough, and it gives the trends. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Community relations.
Community Relations Report is also provided in your backup materials, highlights from all 3 schools here over the last month.
Thank you. Asset of the month.
Asset of the month for April. Yeah. Relationship skills and self-esteem, healthy relationships in Aaron's Law, which is the child sexual abuse awareness. Kids feel good about themselves, express your love for children regularly and often, show them and tell them every day how much they mean to you at school. Use grading as an opportunity to affirm, and in the community, celebrate the accomplishments of young people.
Thank you. Nothing from two-tied advisory, I assume this month?
No, that will go into the next one, so we can go ahead and jump to number 7.
Proposed school handbook changes, first reading.
So included in the proposed school handbook changes are recommendations from District 210 Advisory. So everything that is included in the red, you can see the crossouts from previous, and then more of a maroon for new. This is the first reading. We always come back in April to approve any handbook changes or revisions for the upcoming year. I would ask the board to take time between now and the next month to go through and read the new recommendation for student dress code. It has been changed. It was changed upon the recommendation of students, and then the entire 210 Advisory worked collaboratively to come up with the new code that is in the proposed handbook changes. So I would ask the board between now and April, please review those. If you have any specific questions that you would like answered ahead of time, reach out to me, or Beth Janice Doyle is a member of District 210, and Amy Fury was the administrative representative. Dr. Fury would be happy to answer any questions as well. But as I said, collaborative effort, work together to develop this plan. So I would just ask for suggestions and thoughts prior to the April meeting.
Thank you. Moving on, textbook adoption, the first reading.
Once again, this would be the textbook adoption. It's in our 5-year sequence that we've developed. Year over year that we've begun to budget for. I think, Dr. Ferry, is this the 5th year now we've been updating textbooks? So we are in year 5 of the original 5, but we keep it rolling out. It would be AP US History, Spanish 2, German 2, Fashion and Interior Design would all be proposed for the 22-23 school year. Once again, the first reading, we have these in display in the district office. They're within our 5-cast and our budgeted items. Actually, they're a little bit below what we had forecast, which is always good as we head into next year.
Just curious, are these going to be paper books, or are these all going to be e-books?
They are both, and here's the wonderful price setting that we have from our textbook companies now.
The exact same?
They're the exact same. I mean, what was the analogy you gave me, Dr. Fury? So, for instance, it would be $100 for the license, or $107 for the license and the book. So
they're not passing those savings along to us
they're
by
not
using
they're not
paper and
passing
killing
the
the trees.
savings, No.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. Thank you. Moving on, legislative report.
Nothing additional to report. I do think we'll have some activity between now and our April board meeting.
The Tingley Superintendent's District Report.
Nothing additional to add this evening.
Any other business? All right, moving on to the COVID mitigation plan highlight.
We've made no changes in the last month.
And correspondence. Letter from Dr. Bertrand.
So this is from the Illinois Association of School Boards. They've joined the new consortium of State School Boards Association as a founding member. This would, the way I'm reading this, replace their affiliation in the National School Board Association, but we'll continue to follow this as there's no additional cost for membership at this time.
Perfect. If there is nothing else, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees, collective negotiating, and to establish the sale or lease price of real estate.
So move, second?
I have a motion and a second. Everyone signify who's in favor by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it unanimously. There might be one action after. There will be one action after closed session this evening.
Are they ready in there? Are they going to give us a thumbs up? We're good? Okay. Two items that we'd ask the board for approval. The first is resolution for dismissal and non-renewal of certain non-final probationary teachers for the 21-22 school year, whereas the following teachers have been employed by the Board of Education as a non-final year probationary teacher for the 21-22 school term. Sarah Alfini, Jackson Clare, Tian Donald, Jacinia Kalimas, Delaney McBride, and Jessica Witherspoon. We ask that you accept the resolution as presented.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Lydia, if you open the vote, please. Let me just call it.
You can go roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye. Then I would ask the board to also approve the administrative restructuring as discussed in open session to include the appointment of Renee Goldie to a 12-time administrative position and Jason DiPolo as the athletic director at Lincoln Way West High School for the 2022-2023 school year.
I would 12-month closed session,
Oh, I'm sorry, as discussed in closed session.
and then is
I
it 12-month?
12-month,
Okay.
yes.
You said 12, you said 12 time.
Yeah, you did say 12 times. I was like, what's a 12 times?
Yeah,
Didn't
just
write
want to
it
make
down.
sure,
It's
just
my
want to make sure we have a clear
12-month.
motion.
12-month. 12-month, yeah, 12-month.
I was like 12 times what?
No, 12-month, I apologize. So 12-month for the 22-23 school year, as discussed.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Linda, if you open the vote, please, or call it. That's okay. Take your time. Aye.
Mr. Candy?
Aye.
Mrs. Stokes? Aye. Mr. Lieutenant? Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you. And if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 The ayes have it unanimously. Meeting is adjourned.